Hey guys, hopefully you are doing well. We are actually doing question number 3, which does have three major parts: journal, ledger, and trial balance. Since it's a very lengthy question, we have completed journal on first stage. You can see over here, these many journal entries were already been done. Look at the size and length of this question. So journal entries were completed, and then we have started making ledgers. So here you can see cash ledger first completed, capital, purchase, Mahmood, furniture. So 5 ledgers were completed before this. It's time to make next ledgers as well, and we will try to complete it as much as we can do it. Last ledger which was completed is furniture. From here we will start and resume our work. First we are going to divide the ledger into two parts. As you know, ledger is divided into debit side and credit side. So this is the central line. With this, we have divided this ledger into two parts. Furniture ledger was completed, and let's see what after furniture is unmarked element. Here you have furniture, and next unmarked element is Qasim account receivable. So we have found out the next ledger would be for Qasim. For that we are taking headings from previous ledger and using the same heading to make next ledger just by changing the title. And since we are looking for the next ledger, which is Qasim account receivable, so here we are going to write Qasim. Qasim was account receivable. Let's mention it account receivable. Okay, so in this way we are changing its number as well. Sixth ledger we are going to complete. You can see other headings are absolutely similar. If Qasim we are searching in the journal, if it is present on debit side of journal, we will post here on debit side of ledger as well. If Qasim is present on credit side of journal, we will post it on credit side of ledger. So the same side of journal and ledger will be used for the posting. Qasim we are searching. Let's go back to journal entries and start searching from here. On February 2C we have found out Qasim account receivable debit 32,000. So we will go and write down 32,000 on debit side. Now we will see what is reference of Qasim. As you can see, this Qasim we are posting, and what is written on the opposite side? Two sales. So we will write two sales here as the reference. So after which we need to put the date for 32,000. You can see here Qasim is debited by 32,000. February 2C is the date. So we are going to put February 2C date. Date is mentioned, reference is written, amount has been posted. It means 32,000, entry of 32,000 is completed. We can mark it as it has been done. We are making Qasim's ledger. Let's start our journey to search Qasim once more. Here we are responsible to search Qasim, either it is present on debit side or credit side. Qasim we are looking for. Okay, we have found out Qasim debit side 52,000. Again, Qasim debit 52,000. Now let's see what is 52,000 reference. You can see over here Qasim is debited. What is written on the opposite side? To sale. So this to sale will be used for reference. Now we will see the date of 52,000. Here you can see Qasim was debited 52,000. February 22 is the date. Here we are going to put February 22. Date is mentioned, reference is given, amount has been posted. It means this 52,000 is completed. We can mark it as it has been done, and we'll start our search again for Qasim. If we can see yes, we have found out Qasim again. Qasim is credited by 40,000, and here we are making ledger for Qasim is credited by 40,000. Now see its reference. Qasim here is credited 42,000, and what is written on the opposite side? Cash. So here you will put cash as reference of this 40,000. Okay, now see its date, February 26. We have written the date, reference is mentioned, amount has been posted. It means this 40,000 entry for this 40,000 is completed. So we are marking it as a completed entry, and we'll start our search again for Qasim. Again we are looking for Qasim and we haven't found out, and I'm doubtful. I was looking only the debit side, so we'll have to see if Qasim is present anywhere else. Once again we are searching. Sometimes it is important for us to be satisfied with our working. If we have a smaller doubt, it should be clarified. We are searching for Qasim. Qasim 52,000 marked. It means it is already. This Qasim 40,000 is marked. It means already entered. Okay. We have seen twice in Qasim. We couldn't find anywhere else. So it's time to calculate the balance. To calculate the balance, there are few steps. First step is to calculate the sum of both sides. Here we are on debit side, so initially we will calculate the sum on debit side. And how you will calculate this sum? I'm just taking help from Excel and asking Excel to take sum of these two amounts. So here sum of debit side has arrived 84,000, and sum of credit side would be 40,000, as it's the only amount mentioned on credit side. So now after taking sum of both sides, we will make comparison of both totals, and we'll select the larger total. Here we have on debit side 84, on credit 40,000. So larger sum is 84,000. We will go upside, and on total of both sides we are going to write 40,000. So 40,000 on debit side, and same larger sum will be written on total of credit side as well. First step is completed. What we have done, taken sum of both sides, and we have selected larger sum. What we have done, larger sum was supposed to be posted over here. Larger sum was 84,000. So here 84,000 is written on credit side, and same total we have written on debit side. So what we have done, summed up both sides. Larger sum we have picked 84 and posted to add the total of both sides. First step completed. Now see what side is the smaller side. Here 40,000 credit side is the smaller sum, and this side will be selected for calculation of balance. Which balance? It is called initial balance. How would you calculate it? By subtracting smaller total from the larger sum. And on calculator you will write larger sum first, and then you will subtract smaller total. Here you can see larger sum is 84,000. Write down and subtract smaller sum, which was 40,000. By subtracting 40,000 you will get initial balance. It's time to take this balance, and we are going to brought it downwards. Right now the balance, initial balance is calculated on credit side. We will go to the debit side, will come downwards, down step to total, which we have calculated, and there we will write the balance, initial balance which we have calculated. Same balance would be brought it down, and now you will change its name. It would be called balance brought down. Why it is called balance brought down? Because it was initially calculated at upside and you have brought it downward to the other side. So balance brought down is the main purpose of making any ledger. Purpose has been sorted out. It means Qasim's ledger is completed. We are marking it as completed ledger by putting a ending line after balance brought down. These sums were calculated or written just for the reference. Now they are unneeded, so we can erase them. Qasim's ledger is completed. We will start our search now again. What next entry we will see after Qasim is unmarked. So here unmarked entry arrived 32 3,20,000. It is sales. So we have found out the title sales would be our next ledger. But for this, what we will do, we will take same headings which are used for previous ledger, and these headings will be used for making sales ledger just by changing the title. Now we are going to make sales ledger. In this way we will start our search for sales. You can see that headings are similar, and while searching sale we'll see if sale is present on debit side of journal. We will choose debit side of ledger to post the amount. If sale is present on credit side in journal, we will choose credit side of ledger as well. So hopefully you are with me with 100% understanding. We are making sales ledger. Let's start its search. Where is sales? So here you can see all above entries are marked. We don't need to see over there. First sales we have found out it is credited by 3,20,000. So we are going to sales ledger and 32,000 would be written in credit column. It's time to see its reference of 32,000. Here you can see this was your entry 32,000. Sale was credited. What is written on the opposite side? Qasim account receivable. So this Qasim will be used as reference. Account receivable it is. Reference is also written, and now we will see the date of 32,000. Still not arrived. Look. Here sale was credited by 3,22,000. Reference is written. Date is February 2C. Let's write its date. February 2C. So date is mentioned. Reference is given. Amount has been posted. So entry including 32,000. This entry including 3,20,000 has been completed. So we can mark it as it has been done, making sales ledger. Now start our search for sales again. Yes, we have found out sale is credited by 40,000. We will go to our ledger and we'll write 40,000 in credit column. Now see what was the reference of 40,000. Here sale was credited. What is written on the opposite side? Waheed account receivable. So we will use name of Waheed, who was our account receivable, as reference. In this way reference is completed. How do we write reference? If we are making ledger of sales, we will see where sales is present, and whatever is written on the opposite side would be used for the reference. Now we are about to see the date for 40,000. Here we have 40,000 sales which has been credited. Reference is also written. February 5A is the date. So we are going to put February 5A. Date is mentioned, reference is given, 40,000 is posted. It means entry including 40,000 that has been completed. So we can mark this 40,000 as completed entry. Let's start our search again. We are making sales ledger. If sale is present, yes, sale is credited by 68,000 over here. Write down 68,000 in credit column. So let's look where this sales was. Amount was 68,000. Okay, so we have got this 68,000 which was credited. And what is written on the opposite side? Rashid account receivable. So let's write here Rashid, and he was also account receivable. As sale is directly associated with account receivables only, 68,000 was the amount, and see what was its date. Here we have posted sales 68,000, date is February 9. So let's put the date February 9. Date is mentioned, reference is given, amount has been posted, 68,000 was the amount. It means amount including entry including the amount 68,000 has been completed. So we are marking it as completed entry, and then start again the search for sales. If sale is present anywhere else, yes, we have found out sale is credited by 72,000. So come over here and write down 72,000, and as sale was written on credit side, 72,000 was the amount. Here you have found out 72,000 credit. What is written on the opposite side? Waheed account receivable. So just write Waheed account receivable. For 72,000, what was the date? It was February 17. So put date February 17 over here. Date is mentioned, reference is given, 72,000 posted. So entry including 72,000, this was the entry, and we can mark it as completed entry. Now we will start our search again for sale. If it, yes, we have found out February 19, sale is credited by 32,000. So again come over here and write down 32,000 in credit column as sale was credited over there. So 32,000 was credited. What is written on the opposite side? That is cash. So cash will be used for reference. Now let's see what was the date for 32,000. Here you can see sale was credited. Date was February 19B. Put date February 19B. Date is mentioned, reference is given, amount has been posted 32,000. It means entry including this 32,000 is completed. So we can mark it as completed entry. After posting and completing this entry, we will see if sale is present anywhere else. Yes, again sale has arrived. 52,000 is written on credit side. So come over here and write down 52,000 and see what reference is used for this 52,000. You can see here is 52,000. What is written on the opposite side? Qasim account receivable. So you will use name of Qasim account receivable as reference, 52,000. Okay, see its date February 22. Post February 22 over here. So date is mentioned, reference given, 52,000 is posted. It means entry including this 52,000 is completed, and we are marking it as completed entry, and we'll start our search again, and we will not stop our searching until we are at the last entry. So searching sales from upside to downside, and we haven't found out sales again. It means all entries related to sales are completed. It's time to calculate the balance, and calculation of balance has few steps. First step is to calculate sum of both sides. Here we are calculating sum of credit side. I'm taking help from Excel. All amounts present on credit side, we will take sum of those amounts. Credit side sum has arrived 2,96,000, and debit side total is 0 as nothing is mentioned over here. Then we will make the comparison. We will see which sum is the larger sum. 296 is larger. We will select it. Larger sum will be written on total of both sides. 296,000 we are writing on credit side, and same total will be put on debit side. So first step is completed. What we have done, taken sum of both sides. Larger sum 296 is picked and written on total of both sides. Next step is to choose smaller side. Debit side total was 0, so smaller side is debit, and here we will calculate our balance. Which balance we are going to calculate? It is initial balance. How it is calculated? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. So larger sum will be written on calculator and we will subtract smaller sum from it. So let's see how much was the larger sum. You can see 296,000. And you are going to subtract the smaller sum which was just 0. So you have got your initial balance. And next step is to brought this balance downwards to the other side, and what you will do here on debit side you have calculated the balance. Go to the opposite side, credit side, come downwards and write down the same balance which you have calculated initially, but here you will change its title or name. Now this balance is called by balance BD. Why BD? Because we have brought this balance down. So BD is for brought down. The sole purpose of making any ledger was to calculate the balance brought down, which we have rightly calculated. It means sales ledger is completed. So we can mark it as it has been done by putting a line after that. Ledger is completed. These sums were written just for the reference. Now they are unneeded, so we can erase them. What we have done, sales ledger was made. It's time to see our next ledger. So entry which is still unmarked after sales would be our next title. So here was sales, and next unmarked entry is 8,000 for stationery. So we are going to make ledger for stationery. For that, headings which are used for previous ledger will be used to make next ledger same heading, but we are going to change the title. Now we are making ledger for stationery and change its number as well. It's 8th ledger stationery. Let's see where stationery is present. Here you can see first stationery has, we can see 8,000 is written on debit side. So we'll go to the ledger and we'll write 8,000 on debit side for stationery. And now let's see what is the reference for it. Look here, stationery is debited by 8,000, reference is written cash, so we'll go and write down to cash in front of 8,000 as a reference. Now it's time to see 8,000 date. So here you can see this is 8,000 and February 3 is the date to be written. February 3. Date is mentioned, reference is given, amount has been posted. It means entry including 8,000 is completed. Pick it and mark it as it has been done. So 8,000 is completed. We are making ledger for stationery. Now start looking if stationery is present anywhere else. We will be looking with a speed because normally stationery would not be present at more than 1-2 places. So entry ended and transactions we have seen. It means stationery is not present anywhere else. It's time to calculate its balance. And how would you calculate the balance? First step is to take sum of both sides. 8,000 is the sum of debit side, as there is only one amount written on debit side. On credit side, total is 0 as nothing is mentioned over there. It means sum of both sides are completed. And now you will make the comparison of sums of both sides and will choose the larger sum. Here 8,000 is the larger sum. So you will choose 8,000 and would be written on total of both sides. We have written 8,000 on debit side and same total would be written on credit side as well. So first step is completed. We have taken sum of both sides and then made comparison, picked the larger sum which was 8,000 and 8,000 is written on total of both sides. Next step is to choose smaller side. Here you can see total is 0, then smaller side is credit side. This side will be used to calculate your balance, and which balance you will calculate first? It is initial balance, and you will subtract the smaller sum from the larger sum to calculate this initial balance. On calculator we will write larger sum first and then we will subtract smaller. Larger sum was 8,000, write down, and subtract the smaller sum, which is 0. Here you have got your first initial balance. It's time to brought it down. You have calculated this balance on credit side. Go to the opposite side, means debit, come downwards, down step to the total, and there you are going to write the same initial balance you have calculated. But since you have brought this balance down, so you will change its title and will write to balance, but balance would be written as BD. BD stands for brought it down, as you have brought this balance to the downward side. This was the sole purpose of making your ledger. It means ledger of stationery is completed as we have calculated the balance brought down. So we are marking it as a completed ledger by putting a line after balance brought down. These sums were written just for the reference. Now they are unneeded, so you can erase them. Ledger for stationery is completed. It's time to see what next unmarked entry after stationery is. Here you can see that this was the stationery. After stationery, first unmarked entry is Waheed account receivable. We have found out our title, Waheed account receivables ledger, would be made. For this we will be taking headings from the previous ledger and will be used to make next ledger. All headings are same, but title would be changed. And now Waheed, who is your account receivable, its ledger would be made. We are changing its title number as well. Ninth ledger. Let's see where Waheed is present. There you can see for the first time we have seen Waheed, which is written on debit side 40,000. So we'll go to the ledger. On debit side we will write 40,000. It's time to see its reference of 40,000. There you can see Waheed is debited, and what is written on the opposite side will be used for the reference. So to sales is the reference which would be used. Now see for 40,000 what was the date? February 5A. So come over here and write down February 5A. For sales 42,000, February 5A, date is mentioned, reference is given, amount has been posted 40,000. So entry including 40,000 has been completed, this one, and you can mark it as completed entry. We are making Waheed's ledger. It's time to see if Waheed is present anywhere else. We'll have to be very careful because Waheed can be present on debit side and Waheed can be present on credit side as well. And we have found out Waheed 72,000 on debit side. It was almost skipped, but thankfully we have traced it. Waheed is debited 72,000. Write down 72,000 on debit side as Waheed was present in debit side of journal. 72,000 we are looking. Waheed is present, and what is written on the opposite side? To sales. It would be used to write down the reference. To sales reference is written 72,000. And now time to see its date, February 17. So put date February 17 over here. Date is mentioned, reference is given, and amount has been posted, means 72,000. Entry with 72,000 is completed. So we can mark it as it has been done. After that, very next entry also includes Waheed account receivable with credit 80,000. So we'll go to the credit side and we'll write 80,000 as 80,000 was credited. And now let's see 80,000's reference. This 80,000 Waheed we have seen. What is written on the opposite side? It's cash. So we will be putting cash as reference. And now it's time to see 80,000 date. This Waheed was posted. Date is February 18. Put February 18 over here. Date is mentioned, reference is given, amount has been posted 80,000. So entry including this 80,000 is completed. We are marking it as completed entry. After this we will start our search again and we'll see where Waheed is present. And we'll have to see on both sides, debit and credit, if Waheed is present anywhere else. Entry is completed, Waheed is not present. That means all related entries are posted in Waheed's ledger. It's time to take the balance. How would you calculate the balance? First step is to take sum of both sides. Here we will take the sum of debit side. Two amounts are present. This is sum of debit. And now sum of credit side is 80,000 as it's the only amount present over here. Now make the comparison of these sums and choose the larger sum. Here we have 112 and here just 80. So larger sum is 112. We will go upside and will write larger sum 112000 on both sides. On debit side we have written and we are supposed to write same on credit side as well. First step is completed. We have calculated sum of both sides. Excuse me. And we have chosen the larger sum, which was 112,000. 1,12,000 is written on total of both sides. Next step is to choose the smaller side. Smaller side here is 80,000. Credit side. So this credit side will be used to calculate the balance, initial balance. So here you are writing by balance. Which balance it is? The initial balance, which would be calculated by subtracting small total from the larger total. On calculator you will write larger sum first and then subtract smaller sum. Larger sum is 112,000, 1,12,000, and subtract the smaller total, which is 80,000. Put 80,000 here and calculate your initial balance is 32,000. It's time to brought this balance downward. So here balance was calculated on credit side. Go to the opposite debit side, come downwards, down step to the total, and there you are going to write the same initial balance which you have calculated. Since you are bringing this balance down, so you will change its title, although you will write by balance, but this balance will be called balance BD. BD for brought down. You have brought this balance down. This was the sole purpose of making ledger, as purpose has been accomplished. So you can mark it as it has been done by putting an ending line after balance brought down. These sums were written just for the reference and now they are not needed over here, so we can erase them. Ledger of Waheed we had completed. It's time to see what next unmarked entry is after Waheed. Here you can see this was Waheed and next unmarked entry is discount allowed. So now we are going to make discount allows ledger. For this we will hire all headings from the previous ledger and will use same headings to make next ledger by changing title. And now we are making discount, but this discount is discount allowed, so you can mention discount allowed over here. And beside this just change the number as well. It's now 10th ledger, discount allowed. Let's start our journey of searching discount. Here first discount has been arrived. As you can see, all above entries are marked. We don't need to go over there. Marked entries are already been posted. Discount allowed 1200 is written on debit side. We will choose the same debit side and we'll write 1200 in amount column. Time to see its reference of 1200. And this was 1200 we have written. What is written on the opposite side? Qasim account receivable. So Qasim account receivable will be used as reference for 1200. Go back and see the date of this 1200. Still not arrived. This was 1200. February 5B was the date. We are putting February 5B over here. Date is mentioned, reference is given, Amount has been posted. It means entry including 1200 is completed. This was the entry. We are marking it as completed entry. And now we will start our search for discount again. Only debit side discount, which is discount allowed. We can take a speed, add. Mostly discount allowed are not present in common way. Entries completed, it means there was only one amount related to discount allowed. It's time to calculate the balance. No matter if we have a single amount or we have multiple amounts. To calculate the balance, we will have to follow the same steps. We will calculate total of both sides. Total of debit side is 1200 as there is only one amount mentioned over here. Total of credit side is 0 as nothing is mentioned over here. Now choose the larger sum, which is 1200. So we are going to write 1200 at both sides, on both sides. On debit side 1200 we have written. On credit side you will also be writing 1200 on total. So what we have done, we have calculated sum of both sides, chosen larger sum and written on total of both sides. Next step is to choose smaller side. 0 is the total of credit side, so it's the smaller side, and smaller side will be used to calculate the balance. Which balance? The initial balance. How this initial balance will be calculated? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. On calculator you will write larger sum first and will subtract the smaller sum. Larger sum for discount allowed is 1200. Put it and subtract smaller sum, which is 0. Here you have calculated the initial balance 1200. It's time to brought it down. We have calculated this balance on credit side. We will go to the opposite side, will come down step to the total, and there you are going to write the same initial total which we have calculated. And the next step is, what is this? Same balance which we have calculated, you will brought this balance down, and now you will change its title as well. Its balance, it is the balance, but which balance? BD. Why? Because we have brought this balance downward. BD for balance brought down. The sole purpose of making any ledger was to calculate balance brought down, and purpose has been sorted out. It means we can mark this ledger as completed. Balance brought down has been calculated, so we marked an ending line after balance brought down. These sums were written just for the reference, and now they are not needed to be written over here, so you can erase them. Discounts ledger we were making, and now let's see what next is unmarked after discount allowed. Here we have written discount allowed, you can see over here. Next unmarked entry is Qasim account receivable. We have found out our next title, Qasim account receivable. For that we are going to take all headings which were present in previous ledger except for the title. Now we are going to write Qasim, who was your account receivable. I'm doubtful a little bit as it might have been written Qasim account receivable. I have to see if ledger is already been done. Let's go upward. Qasim account receivable. No, I don't think so. Alright. So we are going to make ledger for Qasim, and we will search if it is present on debit side. We will use the same debit side of ledger as well, and vice versa. Go upside and start searching Qasim. So Qasim has been arrived here, but let's see if it is present upward. No. So first entry including Qasim is here. Qasim is credited by 32,000. Go to his ledger. 32,000 will be written on credit side. See its reference of 32,000. Now this 32,000 is divided into two parts. Two references are used. So for 32,000, what you will do, you will write two references, cash and discount. 30,800 and 1200 you will be writing over here. So first reference 30,800 and second amount is 1200. Both amounts are credited. Actually the total amount which is calculated was 32,000, but it was divided into two parts. 32,000 you can see over here is divided into two parts, cash and discount allowed. So we will use cash for 32,000 and discount, which discount it was allowed, will be used as reference for 1200. Now it's time to see what was the date for 32,000, February 5B. So come over here and write down February 5B for cash, and same February 5B will be used for referring discount as well. It was the same entry, 32,000 entry we were doing. Date has been mentioned, February 5B, both references has been written, and 32,000 amount which was divided into two parts has been posted. So entry including 32,000 is completed. We can mark it as it has been done. We are making Qasim's ledger. Let's start our search for Qasim. Again, if Qasim is present anywhere else as well, we'll have to see both debit and credit side for Qasim. Qasim has arrived. That is why I was doubtful, as Qasim account receivable have been there. Cash ledger, capital Mahmood Qasim. Yes, Qasim was already completed. And one unmarked entry has guided us towards the wrong way. So Qasim account receivables ledger was already completed, but we had not marked Qasim first. So here you can see 32,000 was written and Qasim next was also written. So it means this ledger was already completed. That is what I was just referring you. Sometimes it happens, since there are large number of entries, there is possibility of doubling. Let's go back and we'll have to check Qasim's ledger again because it has become doubtful. So for Qasim account receivable, we'll have to see all entries of Qasim again. First, Qasim is over here, 32,000 is debited, and Qasim ledger, here it is, 32,000 is debited. Okay, and we will search Qasim again. Okay, I will see it by myself. I'm very hopeful that Qasim's ledger is completed. There is no entry related to Qasim which is unmarked over here. Now we will see what is next entry which is unmarked. We will start our search from here. 32,000, 30,800 and 1200. Yes, this entry was not present. Look at that, Qasim's ledger, and we are going to see it again. This was the entry, February 5B. It was not posted. Qasim was credited by 32,000 with two amounts, 30,800 and 1200. And you can see both entries are not present over here. So we'll have to put these entries and we'll have to make the space for it. For that, what we will do, we will cut it and we'll try to make a place for it. We have got that space. What is special purpose of doing this in front of you is just you can learn if you have done something like that in your paper. So what are possibilities over there? So come over here, 32,000 was the amount of entry which was left. This was 32,000 and it has not been posted. First we are going to unmark it. just for the reason why we had left it. Okay, Qasim is credited because of two amounts, 30,800 and 1200. So Qasim here would be credited with two amounts, 30,800 and 1200. We remember the reference was buy cash for 30,800 and buy discount for 1200. So it's time to see if Qasim is present after 32,000. This entry has been completed, so we are marking it as a completed entry. And next step is to see if Qasim is present anywhere else. We'll have to be very careful now. Going downward and searching for Qasim both on debit and credit side. Yes, this Qasim arrived. 52,000 should be written on debit side of Qasim. 52,000, and yes, this 52,000 is present. It means that has already been written. This 40,000 is also been written. So we'll have to see again if Qasim's amount is present anywhere else. No. So here, it's a very sensitive matter. Sometimes it happens and we'll have to be very much attentive. Now to calculate the balance, we'll have to do these two things again. Just delete this, and we are going to calculate sum of both sides again. For that we don't have the space, so we will calculate the sum of debit side of Qasim ledger here. Since it's a rough work, that doesn't matter where we are calculating. There were two amounts present on debit side. This is sum of debit. And now let's see what is sum of credit side. For that purpose, we will go to the credit side and we'll calculate all amounts present on credit side. So sum has been calculated, and what we will do, we will choose the larger sum from here, make comparison. 84,000 on debit side, 72,000 on credit side. Which one is the larger sum? 84,000. So you will put 84,000 on debit side, and same sum would be written on credit side as well. Rule is what? How we can calculate the balance? We will take sum of both sides. We'll choose the larger sum and we'll put on total of both sides. Larger sum will be posted on total of both sides. Then we will choose the smaller sum. This is 72,000, which is total of credit side. There you will calculate your initial balance. How you would calculate? On calculator you will write larger sum first, which is 84,000, and you will subtract the smaller sum, which is 72,000, put over here. This way you will be able to calculate your initial balance, which is 12,000, and now it's time to brought this balance down. We will go to the opposite side and will come downwards and write the same balance, 12,000. In this way Qasim's ledger is completed. So let's take this part as a completed part, and we will continue making others ledger as well. For the time being, we are concluding it. The 10th ledger we will make in our next part. We are deleting this title. It was already been completed. Why we have distracted? Actually, one amount remained unmarked, and that is why at the start I was saying that if you will mark your entries carefully, those entries will never be skipped. And now what happened? One entry was skipped. For that we'll have to take time to rectify our ledger for Qasim. Though thankfully ledger has been completed, otherwise it was very difficult to know the mistake while after completion of all the ledgers. So if trial balance was not equal, for example, in your exam, if your trial balance is not equal, then you will have to see all the journal entries and all the ledgers. And thankfully we have found out that error during the making procedure. Okay, I'm suggesting you to take the break. We will come back and we'll start our ledger from here. and we will be making our 11th ledger. We will search the title as well. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we are meeting you soon. This would be very short break. After a few minutes we will come back and we'll continue our next part of making these ledgers. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.